Hey up guys, latest episode of That What. Today I've got a man like Tom Granville, who is the owner of Granny's Football, which is online and in-person retro football shirt
That's it,
seller, I guess, best way of putting it.
Yeah, spot on, mate.
Yeah, sound right, we're in. That's it, let's go.
I was going to introduce myself, but you've done it all
That's
for
fine,
me.
I
So
didn't mess it up last week, I messed it up, so we're not having that. But yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, busy. Just hectic at the minute. There's a lot going on. Trying to find time to do some new stuff. But yeah, overall, pretty good, mate. All good.
Yeah, and I'm good, yeah. Just trying to keep it on. We've started again with this year, so we're going to keep it rolling, keep the pace coming. Maybe not every week, but try and do it every other week. That's going to be the vibe.
That's good, mate. Yeah, keep them coming.
Yeah, it was stressful trying to do it every week.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's nice to know that you've just got everything ticking over nicely. I came down to your showroom a couple of weeks ago and seen you, and that's so many shirts, it's wicked.
Yeah, it was good, mate. Yeah, so like, obviously I moved into the studio space, when was it? Like last July, August on Randall Street. So before that, it was kind of purely an attic business, which was just mental considering the amount of stock that I've got. It was just pretty unsustainable, to be honest. And found myself a lot of the time not really separating work and my home life. So yeah, the move down to the studio has been great. It comes with its challenges, obviously costs, things like that, but it's been really nice to get people into the studio. I had like an opening event there when I first had finally set everything up, which took quite a few weeks to do. But yeah, just like having the option for punters to order things on the site and come and pick up in store. And I've had people come from different countries just to come and check out the shirts and have a chat. And that's what it's meant to be, really. Obviously, I've not got the time to have a full-time shop space, but to have the option for people to come in. I've got like a reading corner, darts board, stuff like that, so people can just come and hang out and chat about football and football kits, which is what I spend most of my time talking about. So
well, you've come to the right place. It's something I can bang on about all day. To be fair, even when it's such a good space that you've set up, and the fact that you can do all that and have that little open weekends or appointments. Have you had anyone when they come in, like when they're an away fan, come and message you yet? Not yet,
no. So that's part of the plan for this year, because I've been really lax with it, just because the online side consumed so much of my time, and I was a bit ill towards the back end of last year, so everything kind of got pushed back a little bit. But the initial plan for the studio was to have more regular open days, just opportunities for come down. Yeah, obviously you've got the Blades ground next door, as you've seen.
Yeah.
I'm a Wednesday fan, but it's good to have that passing traffic there. But yeah, the plan this year is to kind of do a more regular open day, maybe monthly or bi-weekly, just to give people the option either on match day to come through and have a look, or just a general event where people can just come in, hang out, have a look through the kits and have a chat, basically. So yeah, fingers crossed. I've finally got myself a Ring doorbell outside.
I got that a couple of weeks ago.
And I've got myself a sign. My mate, who's a graphic designer, is sorting a sign for me. So once that's up, then it'll be a little bit easier to coordinate events, and I can do a bit of promo on social media and stuff, and get people in a bit more, because that's the bit of the job that I really love, is the face-to-face stuff. The online, I love researching all kits, and obviously selling stuff online has got its pros and cons. I can have a lot of time to myself, but other times it can be insanely busy. But actually doing the events, which I know you've seen me at events before, there's that retro football fair that comes to Sheffield every year. And I've been down to London, I've been to Liverpool, for pop-up events like that, and actually speaking to people face to face, having a chat, speaking about a common interest, because it is quite a niche subject, and a lot of, obviously football isn't. So many people are obsessed with football, but actually having a passion for the kits and the histories, maybe a little bit more niche. So it's nice to meet those people face to face and have a chat about it. Basically,
you're making a connection with them, and you're also then probably going to learn something from them that you might not have known before as well.
Exactly.
Just to hear people when they are so passionate about these old kits, and like you can see the emotion that goes into the conversation.
Yeah,
'cause like obviously some people just be like, that's just a football shirt.
Yeah.
But someone could look at that. Like there's certain shirts I look at and brings back so many memories of like a certain year, or just times out I've had wearing that shirt, and like there's so much more behind it. I think that's football in general.
Exactly, and I think obviously retro kits have kind of come into the mainstream, I suppose, over the last few years, but I think a lot of that is the nostalgia element, because people are looking back on a period where football was a bit more fun, maybe. There was more crazy shit going on. It was just. There was unique stories coming out. There's corruption all over the place. There probably still is, but a lot more under wraps. So I think like people look back on that period, especially like the 80s and 90s, and the 90s especially, when football first became kind of commercialised and
global.
Exactly.
Like that fucking commercial aspect.
So
when
people started selling sponsors, exactly,
yeah.
And people started. That's when kits first started being sold properly. Obviously, you could buy them before then, but a lot of them were like just kids' kits and stuff like that. Whereas in the 90s. It became this huge behemoth, that everyone had to have the kit every season. They brought out new shirts.
Well, I remember back in the day when it'd be every 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because of capitalism.
Every year plus a special edition, plus a third kit. If you're Napoli, you have about 8 or 9 a year. So
and Armani as well.
Yeah. So even Wednesday this year, I've latched onto that. The special. I think United have as well. Actually, I think United have just brought out a special Chinese New Year kit. Which I think I saw that the other day. But Wednesday brought out the limited edition black one. It's a beautiful kit, it's really nice. But obviously, limited in numbers. I think 1,000 available or something like that. 5,000.
Yeah.
So people like that. It's a bit gimmicky, but people like that opportunity to own something that's potentially we're not going to be reproduced. Although I think a lot of clubs take advantage of that a little bit and will limit release stuff as a limited edition, and then they see how popular it is and go, oh, I can make crap load more money here, I'll crack on again.
I don't think Wednesday out with that one. It's funny because I've seen people when they buy them off at dodgy Chinese sites, you can tell the fakes from a mile off. Like the black one, you can tell because the badge is white and on mine it's grey, and then like them orange away kits, it's a completely different colour of orange. I've seen 2 lads in Wetherspoon sat next to each other and it's like, ooh, that's not good.
I think it's a big problem, and that's part of the reason I do what I do. Obviously, I sell expensive kits as well that have, rarity and old school value, because there's not many of them about. But also the fact that kits these days are ridiculously expensive. Like to get
70 quid
exactly.
Most of the time,
and if you're a big Premier League or a big European club, you're talking, over 100 quid if you want to get authentic versions with a name on the back, stuff like that.
The player
exactly.
The
player versions. So you're talking really big money. And if you've got kids and you want to buy them a kit every year, so you can see why people go towards knockoff ones, because you can get them for 10-15 quid online, get them shipped. They might take 3 or 4 weeks, but as the alternative to spending 40-50 quid and everyone in the family's got one, to spending 300-400 quid, it's a no-brainer for some people, and it's a shame really, because obviously, and that's the whole thing, another story about normal fans being priced out of football full stop these days, which is another reason why people feel fairly nostalgic about the past, I think. So.
And that's why they keep all their old shirts, because they feel like that's proper football.
Yeah, exactly. A time when you weren't mugged off as a fan, and you weren't treated like absolute tools like we are by a certain Mr. Chancery at the house.
Shots fired. We do it.
Sorry, but it's true though, isn't it? I've always said it. It's not. I'm not saying anything that he doesn't say himself. We're treated as customers.
Cash cow. I thought they were that way. When like September or October when he announced next season's third kit. I'll have the old.
But no kit. He doesn't renounce the kit. He just said it's because we've got no bloody money.
Still copy him.
Well, true. That's part of it. Is that it'll come out on DHgate next month.
That's it. Yeah. Boom. He's lost a load of money there.
But also he does this every year with season tickets. With still like little gimmicks to raise some cash, because obviously we're so badly financially managed that unfortunately clubs in a little bit of a mess behind the scenes. But it's all right on the pitch at the moment. So I'll take that. It's always been a mess behind the scenes. So
shout out Danny Rolder.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, before we end up going down that tangent, we'll probably do that in a bit. But so when did you start off with your shirt collecting, and how did you get to where you are now, I guess?
So I suppose that's a good point to start on, because obviously I was collecting kits really before I decided to have it as a business. But in terms of online collecting vintage fashion, old school stuff, I've been doing it since I was like 14. So I'm 31 now. So like literally since I was 14, I used to get to charity shops and pick stuff up. Not specifically just football shirts, but I think when it came to kits, I think my I always, when I went on holiday as a kid, I would always buy knockoff shirts from the markets and bring them home.
Like an old Barcelona.
Yeah, exactly. For 10, 15 euros off the market, and you bring it home and you knock about in it and play football.
It's like a souvenir though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then, so I suppose, I think I had in my head then I always wanted to have a kit collection, and I did, but they were all bloody fake. So, but then when it came to, I think my mum for my 16th or 18th birthday bought me the 93, 94 away, the black with the pinstripes, which is probably one of my favourite kits.
Still want it, I'm still looking, but it's just like 200 quid minimum.
It's an expensive one. But yes, I think she bought me that before the booming prices. I think from that point I was just always picking up little bits and bobs and collecting stuff. And I stopped being really interested in fashion because apart from liking old stuff, I'm just not that much of a fashionable person. I'm not interested that much in what I look. I found myself knocking about in tracky bottoms and a football shirt most of the time.
Yeah.
So my interest in, higher end brands and stuff like that came alongside all the vintage stuff, it just wasn't there. So when your passion's gone for it, there's no point in doing it, really.
Stick to what you know.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing, with football shirts, it's kind of the combination of all the things that I'm interested in. Obviously, football, fashion to an element, and history. And those are kind of it's the three things that I find fascinating about football kits.
Yeah.
And I think it also shows the different reasons people like old shirts and memorabilia, because some people are interested in them just purely as fashion pieces. Other people are fascinated by the history and the story and the players. And then other people are just super fans of their clubs and, want to buy every single kit that's available. So it's like, yeah, exactly, yeah. Do you have any other shirts, apart from the one you're wearing today that aren't Wednesday?
I've got a few Barcelona.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've got a St. Pauli as well, actually.
Yeah, nice.
Great, then. That's my German too.
Yeah. My dad went to see them on a stag do, actually, a few years ago. He said it was amazing. Because they get 45,000 fans. I think they're in the Bundesliga now, but they were in the...
They're doing all right now.
They're in second tier for a long, and maybe even the third tier for a long time, and they've still got 45,000 fans. And that's German football for you, though, isn't it?
Hamburg's a big football city, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Massive rivalry between them and the left and right wing clubs, aren't they? So it's a big standoff between those two.
But at least it's not that deep either.
Yeah. There's idiots and nice people on both sides of the coin in this.
Exactly.
as there are in most walks of life. But
that's it, isn't it?
But yeah, in Germany is obviously a really interesting one because obviously you still have a lot of fan ownership over there with the clubs.
50 plus one, isn't it?
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is great, but it means that you still have these huge attendances for lower league clubs, massive stadiums. The fans feel fully involved in their club, whereas I think a lot of people in this country feel fairly detached from their clubs these days.
Getting robbed near enough. It's getting to that point.
Exactly,
It's not just like the tickets, but it's like when you go. I had to go. It's probably bad, but I was saying to one of the women at Wednesday Ground, I got a Guinness, and she said 6:30, and I was like, 6:30.
Insane.
I just said you should be wearing a balaclava. And I just feel like I've been robbed.
Yeah, it's true, and that's everything around football's expensive. The tickets, the shirts, the drinks when you're there, the crappy food you get served up.
Non-league more. I'd say.
Yeah, and I've been to a fair few non-league games now. If it got to that stage, I said last season I wasn't going to renew my season ticket at Hillsborough. Obviously. It never happens. So it's the same thing, innit? What everyone says: death, taxes, and renewing your Sheffield Wednesday season ticket.
Yeah.
so the only three certainties in life. But I think there will at some point be a stage where maybe I will pack it in, not because I don't love going, because it's my favourite thing to do is go to a match. But the way, especially under our ownership, the game is going and the club is going, I'm not sure. I feel like I need to make a moral standpoint at some point.
Soon probably won't be season tickets.
Well, exactly.
Them anyway,
yeah, he does. He never wanted them in the first place, did he? Which is fascinating, and just all the jargon that comes out in all of these fans forums these does about if you don't like it, don't come. If more people actually did that, you might have a second thought about because they're the thing that keep the only good thing about the club, really. Obviously, got a great gaffer at the minute, but the fans keep it running.
People love them too much, and that's it.
Yeah. So challenging times, but. I think that at some point, I probably will have a think about whether it's realistic to keep on going to the match. But then again, I say that, and then it'll come to renewal time and last chance to get a ticket, and I'll be like, go on then. So, skip myself for another season ticket.
Right. Something's like, he looks alright, let's go and check it out. But so it started off with Wednesday. To be fair, you do a lot of Italian shirts as well, don't you?
So in general, obviously Wednesday, me love in terms of football, but always been fascinated with football history. I remember when I was a kid, you know, my dad, I don't know if you remember him, but my dad used to buy me for Christmas, there's like VHS box sets. So you get like, it was like a big box like that, and it come with like 4 or 6 videos in it. And it'd be all clips from the old World Cups. So it'd be like videos of the old World Cups for years and years and years. Like a
little what were them things on PSP? Them little DVDs.
Yeah.
One of them of that.
And so I was just like hooked on other football from a very early age.
Well, I suppose watching world class football.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and obviously in that period when I was a kid, that's when football was starting to become televised. You had Football Italia on Channel 4, and then you had, you know, I remember watching the African Cup of Nations in like the early 2000s. So I was always just like, before that, obviously I was only a little nipper, but I was, you know, you only think that Wednesday and whoever Wednesday are playing against exists, but then when you realise that there's this whole beast, you know, of international football, because it's the biggest sport in the world by some way.
Yeah, definitely.
In most, you know, the vast majority of countries, it is the biggest sport, the most popular sport. Yeah, exactly. There's only the Yanks and probably a few others.
Just leave them. Although it is getting massive over there.
Yeah, exactly.
And
by the time it comes to the World Cup, and you know, Mexico, Canada, and USA, I think it'll just absolutely pop off over there, because people will just be absolutely.
But then is that a bad thing?
Probably, because most things the Americans touch end up turning to.
Well, it's one of them. It's near enough getting to the point where all 20 Prem clubs are owned by Americans, and then they'll make their own rules, won't they?
Yeah, well, exactly. We might see the end of the playoffs, or you know, relegation and stuff, because they don't understand that concept over there, do they? Because it's all franchised. Yeah. So and it was the interest in other football clubs and history in general just made me really interested in kits and football from other places. So yeah, in more recent years I've kind of tried to expand that knowledge as much as possible, because it's partly because it's really important for what I do to have as much knowledge as you possibly can, but also because I find it fascinating. So I can spend hours watching YouTube videos to be like, oh, when did this particular player wear this shirt? You know, what were their season like? So that's the kind of stuff I really enjoy about work. You know, which is great, because it means that I get to spend a couple hours a day just doing research and
watching
things like
football.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Have you got any player-worn shirts?
I've got quite a lot actually. I've got. I'll show you.
You brought some shirts.
Yeah, I brought some kits there to have a look at. But mostly
like a mixed bag here.
Mostly Wednesday stuff, but there's some other stuff that other people might be interested in who, for the Blades that are listening to the pod.
It's not all Wednesday, don't worry. Which I'm trying to be unbiased. It's just hard.
I'll start with the Wednesday kit, because this is my favourite Wednesday shirt of all time.
That's
88 to 90 away shirt.
Make sure that we're on. Yeah, that's good.
So it's in long sleeves and it has the Stitch sponsor on the front. So they never. So in the shops they sold them just plain. You didn't have the sponsor on it. For the players' shirts, they stitched the sponsor on, and obviously the number on the back. So I mean, this is before squad numbers, so 15 will have probably been worn by one of the subs. But shout out to Richard Letts. Don't know if you're listening, but he's the guy that owns the programme shop at Hillsborough.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. He's sorting me out with a few Wednesday match worn shirts, but. Yeah, this is one of my favourite kits of all time as well. That's not Wednesday.
Portugal.
That's a Portugal shirt from the
Adidas as well. You don't see them very often.
No, with the old trefoil, just crazy, amazing patterns. Like you've got the trefoil.
It's 80s.
It's 93, 94, I think. So yeah, 92, 94.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of my favourites.
Always very nice materials as well.
Yeah.
I love how it's always got that design.
I say it all the time, but they don't make them like they used to. So
that's it.
So yeah, my personal collection, I've got. It's probably split between a lot of Wednesday stuff. So I've got most of the Wednesday kits that I want now. There's probably a few that I would add if I could. Yeah. But in terms of the actual kits, probably from like the mid 80s. The oldest one I've got is one of those like late 70s book tower ones, which I think I've got with me as well.
So it is a proper throwback.
Really old. But I've got like all the kits up to about the year 2000 when to be like that. My interest in the shirts I like are nearly all vintage. I like old school stuff. But then I collect a lot of like obscure Italian stuff. There's a particular Italian brand called ABM who were really quite a small brand, but they made kits for Fiorentina when Roberto Baggio was there at the beginning of his career, you know, before he made the big move to Juve and then Milan later on.
The 7-Up shirt, is it?
No, that's Lotto. It was a few years before that, so this is like late 80s, early 90s. And yeah, so ABM, it's been really interesting collecting ABM kits because again, that was more about my interest in obscure and weird history. Because there's just random clubs like Belgian club KSK Beveren, who once fielded a team of in the Belgian Cup final of 10 out of 11 of the players were from the Ivory Coast, which is just a crazy story that I find fascinating, including like Yaya Toure, who else was in it? Can't remember, a couple of other players that played in. Colo didn't play for them, but there was a few other players that played, then went on to play in the Premier League that played in that team, and they had like a connection with one of the big Ivorian clubs, so they ended up sending them all their players. So there was just this Belgian team in the early 2000s that had tons of players from the Ivory Coast in their team. Yeah, they had like a squad full, the 20-man squad, like 14 of them were from the Ivory Coast. So stuff like interesting clubs like that, and shirts like that's what kind of drew me towards ABM. And in terms of business, that kind of, so they ended up getting in touch with me because they're doing remakes of all the old classics that they made. So all the because they're quite a small brand and they're quite obscure clubs, they're quite difficult. And I know for a fact they're very difficult. So they make a lot of like teamwear for like amateur clubs, but they don't really provide anything now for like pro clubs.
It sounds like it'd be too big. Like
mass. Well, exactly. Exactly, because everything's mass market produced now, whereas this is like a family-run business from Parma, But they got in touch with me because I document my collection on Instagram under ABM shirts, and I've just been kind of sharing them on there mostly for myself, just to document them all. And they got in touch with me to ask if they could use some of my original shirts so they could recreate some classics.
Very cool.
So that was really cool, and then I ended up meeting the original founders, who were, like I said, an elderly couple from Parma who are still running the business. I think they're in their late 70s, and they came over to Manchester. Don't speak any English at all, but there was a lad there who works with them who speaks fluent Italian and English, and it was really cool just to meet them and hear some stories, some really interesting stuff about shirts they've made in the past and things that I had no idea about coming straight from the horse's mouth. And then I've ended up the shirts they've remade that were from my original kits. I stocked some of those on the website as well. So that was like a nice little full circle moment from, I suppose a really cool situation that's come out of my passion for a particular type of old kit.
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's wicked. It's like one of them where you would not have expected that.
No.
Either.
Oh God, when they reached out to me, I was well. When I met them, I just felt very starstruck. And I know obviously they're not like famous people or anything, but they've created fairly historical kits and obviously some really means
a lot to you as well.
Yeah, exactly. So when I had the opportunity to do it, they were like, "Oh, would you be able to come over to Manchester?" I was like, "Yeah, get me on that train. I'll come and meet you. I'm going to bring some kits, and then chat to you about them." So yeah,
have you got
really
any
nice.
of the ABMs?
Not got any of them with me. I should have brought one, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I should have brought one of those.
I feel like you weren't expected to pull that little story out though.
No, I've not. I've got some old Italian kits, but not ABM ones. But yeah, if you want to have a look, if anyone wants to check out some ABM kits, because I bet a lot of people haven't heard of them. I've got at least like over 50 logged on my Instagram page, ABM shirts. So there's some cool stuff on there if you want to check it out.
Yeah, have a look. That's one of them brands that I've not heard much from.
No, I don't think, and until recently when they started remaking them all, I don't think a lot of people had, unless you. I think Torino won the Coppa Italia wearing ABM shirts in the early 90s, and Fiorentina obviously had a really good side with the likes of Baggio in. But other than that, all the other clubs that wore them, there's a few national teams that wore them, like Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
So they wore them, Iceland, a few others as well, but the vast majority are quite obscure teams. A lot
of international. Puma and Adidas, really.
Yeah. Puma, Adidas, Nike. That's pretty much the clean sweep across the board, isn't it?
Macron. I think Macron's got bigger.
Macron are doing because I sponsor a football kit podcast called They Think Kits. They could think kits all over, and and they're really nice lads, and they're big Macron fans, especially of the recent stuff, which I agree with, and I'm really glad Wednesday with him. The quality of our kits
it's been banging
since we've gone from bloody one of Chancery's fake brands.
That Elevate was so bad.
It was so bad, wasn't it? The IKEA kit, do you remember that one?
Yeah.
The yellow and black pinstripes that looked like an IKEA uniform. Yeah, we had some shockers in that period. That green one with like the bubbles on it. Some really bad ones.
The camo ones weren't great.
No.
That pixel.
The pixelated one. Yeah.
That was the worst one.
Yeah. Was that the grey one?
No,
or the green?
They were green.
The green pixelated one. Yeah. The grey and the green. I think they were the away kits from two separate seasons. I think I got them because they were £11 in the club shop because no one bought them. So
because they probably came out in like I swear they were always late. They came out in like October. It's like, dude, season starts in August.
I remember that. God, there's another thing on the Chancery list. Yeah. Bring your kits out mid-season.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah, not for the next season. The current season.
No, he's mixing it up now. He's bringing next year's kits out. Next year's kits out mid-season, the year before. But yeah, that's him all over.
Oh, right. Show us a good Wednesday shirt. Have a good time.
That's well, this isn't a shirt, but this is a really cool jacket. It's one of the things I've had longest in my collection.
Oh, nice.
So this is the jacket we wore out at Wembley when we won the Rumbelows Cup final.
91.
So yeah, which is obviously still the only piece of major silverware for any Sheffield club to win for the last 100 years. So,
so at least they've still not got that auras.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, we were talking about this the other day when you came down to the studio about, just Sheffield's importance and significance in football.
Right there behind you, Sheffield Football Club. Yeah. The list of rules.
Yeah, exactly. And I went to a talk recently over the last couple of months with that Sheffield Home of Football group that I mentioned to you. We're trying to get a Sheffield Heritage Museum for football set up and get UNESCO World Heritage status for Sheffield as the birthplace of modern football.
Needs to be done.
It absolutely needs to be done.
I know they've got that museum in Manchester and it's cool.
Yeah,
I don't know why they didn't
there has to be something alongside that in Sheffield because of the significance of what happened here. And I would implore anyone to go to one of those talks, or they do walks as well around significant footballing landmarks around Sheffield, and you'll probably
Grove and stuff like that.
Yeah, you'll see plaques around the city that they've got set up. There's one at Nuffield.
Recently,
It's in at Nuffield. So at Nuffield Gym, there's one because I think that was was it Cemetery FC or something like that. So they were the first maybe church-related football team ever to exist, and that there's a plaque outside Nuffield that shows that. Obviously near Cemetery Road, isn't it? So I assume that's where the name comes from.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the York was the first hotel-related or pub-related football team, and there was a point in it. They explained they go into a lot of detail in it in the talks that they do. There was a point where Sheffield was responsible, or Sheffield and the surrounding area was basically had around half the world's documented football clubs. So there was 400 or 500 clubs functioning in and around Sheffield, and there was only at that time in the 1850s to 60s. There was only, or maybe this was a bit later, maybe it's up to the 1870s. There was only maybe 900, 1,000 documented clubs around the entire globe. And there was, and the FA, the rules that we play by today. Again, this is something that I've learnt from that Sheffield Home of Football history talk, but they were heavily dominated by the way that we played football under the Sheffield and Hallamshire FA. Because the FA that was based down in London was in a bit of turmoil at the time, because I think when football was first introduced, it was played a lot like rugby, basically.
A lot of working class as well, weren't it?
Yeah, so people from the Sheffield and Hallamshire FA went down to have a meeting with the FA and said, look, this is how we're playing the game up here, and a lot of those rules were then introduced into the official rules that the FA then led going forward. And stuff like heading the ball, that's a Sheffield thing. They were created in Sheffield. No one had ever headed a ball before. That was kind of like an invention from an amateur Sheffield side.
You're still not using your hands, it counts. Although they're trying to feel like it's slowly. It's like slipping away from the game.
Yeah.
For a good reason, because obviously there's all these old school footballers coming out with dementia and stuff. So maybe the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, no. I mean, I suppose it's one of those things. I don't know enough about the science behind it, but if you're gonna keep lumping something against your head for 30 years, you're probably gonna feel the effects of it at some point, aren't you?
It might not catch up with you straight away, but later on in life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, dementia's an awful thing, so if there's anything they can do to avoid that. But obviously it's still always going to be a big part of the game. It's just whether you can kind of stop kids doing it day in, day out from an early age.
That's the rule, isn't it? It's not in then it's just, you're not going to see headers in 10, 20 years because kids won't know how to do it.
That's the only thing I'm good at in football. Play centre half all my life, so... bully my way around and use my head.
Just stick nuts on it.
Yeah, exactly, pal. So it'd be a shame if it does completely get filtered out of the game. But I don't think it ever will do. It is such a key part of it, isn't it?
That's it.
But yeah, so I've forgotten what we were even talking about. Then we go off on some raid tangents.
I feel like it's easy enough though, isn't it? Let me see what I think we've got to on it. I'll see what I've not asked you yet anyway. I mean, yeah, I'm guessing you brought some, but what are some of your fave shirts from your collection?
Yeah, so I reckon I'll show a couple because it's easy to explain. I have a bit of again, what I mentioned to you before about kind of weird and obscure kits from around the world. Got a bit of a fascination with Chilean kits. So this is O'Higgins, who are, I think, based in Santiago, maybe not, I could be wrong. But anyway, this is one of their shirts from, I think they started using it in 93.
As well, with
the trefoil on the sleeves. Well, this is crazy, this shirt, because it's actually got 3 Adidas logos on it. So you've got the trefoils on the sleeves, you've got the old school text in the middle, and then later on, and I don't know why this is the case, but you've got like the more modern, like, the newer.
Maybe that's before they properly introduced that.
Well, I thought this number might just be an incorrect font, but it's obviously, you can see it's like painted on almost.
Yeah, you can feel that.
So
it's not vinyl though, is it?
No. It's almost like it's like rubberized or paint. It's quite a weird material.
Spray paint almost. Someone just got stencil on.
yeah, quite possibly. But yeah, so like this design, I think most, if anyone is a football shirt fan or knows much about kits or football history, most people associate this design with Marco van Basten and Holland 88. And this is like the latest version of that template being used, because obviously it was brought out in the mid to late 80s, and then it's called the Ipswich template, if anyone cares about that. I don't know why, because I don't think Ipswich ever wore it, but
maybe that's where it was designed.
Yeah,
the actual design itself.
Possibly. But yeah, so that design was obviously associated with a lot of teams wore it, but Holland 88, they obviously won the European Championships, and Van Basten's gone down as one of the greatest players of all time. But this was obviously used way well up into like the late 90s, so it's like the oldest example of this template being used. So yeah, I'm a bit of as you can see, I'm a bit of an Adidas fiend. So I'm I'm not like just into Adidas kits, but I just think like the trefoil's one of the best pieces of branding that's ever existed. This one you can still see. So this is
like proper material still before they went to all your synthetics kind of.
Yeah. So this is Javier Aguirre's shirt. So he wore the number 13 for Chivas in Mexico. And obviously he was a Mexican international and is currently now, I think he's manager again at Mexico for the 3rd time.
Nice.
So this is a match shirt. So and this is what get linked into what we were talking about earlier about like the commercialisation. Like at this point here, they didn't sell the kits. So this is 1991. So they didn't, in Mexico, they didn't sell the kits.
That's
like you would just get like fan shirts with no logos on, maybe like the sponsor and the club crest on it. They might sell outside the ground from like local vendors. But any of the actual Adidas kits were only players' shirts.
Yeah,
it's like sublimated
into
the design. Exactly, yeah. And it's like a cotton material, isn't it? It's not like the polyester. Yeah. So yeah, stuff like that I'm really, really into. I've already shown you my favourite Wednesday shirt. I reckon there's probably one other one it's a Wednesday shirt, but this is probably the craziest thing that I've found. Again, shout out to Richard Letts, Mr. Programme Man.
That only got worn once.
Yeah, got worn. One or two games. Can't remember. Wimbledon, Newcastle.
Yeah,
just that was it. So it was. They were never sold.
Well.
Yeah, it was never sold. They only made it because. So in 1993, I think referees were basically stopped having to wear black shirts.
Yeah.
So they brought. So you see refs in green, yellow kits.
That's when they went to being able to have black away kits.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. So Wednesday took full advantage of that, and we had our first ever black away kit, which is the kit we were talking about at the beginning.
The nicest black kit we've ever had. Still.
Yeah. Oh, incredible. But we didn't take into account, or Wednesday didn't take into account, or Puma didn't take into account that actually that meant that. That when we played in the cup, where the refs still had to wear black kits, we would have an away kit that would clash with the refs, and then if it blue and white clashes with the likes of QPR, Wimbledon, Newcastle. So we didn't have a kit. So they made two. They made the white one and the gold one as one-offs to wear in games. That one's it's a match shirt. It's not numbered up.
Purple.
It's
that year after.
I've got it here. These are the most. I never thought I'd own these, but I managed to bankrupt myself.
Oh, you got that one as well. I know which one you mean. Yeah.
This is the gold one, which was again worn in 2 games. I think.
Again, it's old school. It's got
the Premier League patches on it, and it's interesting because I think we did have name sets this season, but because they were produced last minute, they just had the number which.
The quality on those is mental
it's crazy,
as well.
Isn't it?
They're just little patches
like
now. They
craftsmanship. Yeah.
Like properly sewn on.
Well, it showed obviously the development of sports science, where now, before, all the players' shirts were heavier and had stitch details and big sponsors, whereas now they do everything to strip the weight out of the players' shirts.
It's like to strip the sweat away and all that technology now.
Yeah, exactly,
I mean, in winter as well, you want a big thick shirt.
Yeah. Well, and obviously in Italy they took that to even more extremes because you had a lot of acrylic shirts. So they were basically like wearing a woolly jumper in a match. So obviously during the winter periods, I'm sure that was quite nice, but I'm not sure about wearing it on a 30-degree hot, Napoli day. Trying to wear it because they all had them, or pretty much all the teams had acrylic kits back then. I think a lot of them would have an acrylic one and then a light fabric one as well. But that was extremely popular in Italy to have woolly kits, which is just mental thinking about how it's changed now.
I know, it's like near enough wearing paper these days.
Yeah. I know that, and obviously from a purely aesthetic element, they look so much nicer.
Yeah, and just
they feel higher quality, like you say. Details don't fall off in the wash, and that's why you've got so many kits from the 90s that are still perfectly,
I mean, like a lot of felt got used in 90s sponsors and stuff. That's lasted. Like sometimes it has bobbles, but that's not that much.
Felt or like embossed details where the sponsors are literally like a raised, embossed platform on the shirt. Like the Sanderson ones are all like that.
Classic, yeah.
So they're just incredible. Like the old kits, and they last a long time. Obviously, you get very beat up versions of them when people haven't looked after them. But if people have looked after their kits, you can have a 30-40-year-old piece of fabric that looks like it was made,
there you go,
not physically, but it looks like it could have been made a couple of weeks ago in terms of the quality and the condition on it. So
just keeping them in good nick.
Yeah,
and that's it. If you do that, your resale value can be daft.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you know all about that.
Yeah. Well, it's a difficult one. Obviously, there was like the COVID boom. Like people were selling shirts for insane prices, and I think a lot the market's been dictated a lot by some of the big boys. So you've got obviously classic football shirts, you have the stores in Manchester and London, and then you've got a couple of other big online retailers that have thousands and thousands of kits online. But the prices are just insane, and for me that's like that kind of the point of. That's not to say there isn't specific kits with big value, because there is, because of either rarity or condition or the fact that we're match worn. But there's a lot of shirts. There's a big thing about. Some of those big companies will basically just get kits in semi-decent condition, print a new name set on the back, and then sell them for 5 times the markup. And for me, it just feels wrong. It's like, like I said before to you, like the whole point is, making football shirts more accessible for people, for what I do anyway. So, but obviously when you've got a massive share of the market and a huge marketing team and stuff like that, people will tend to go to those sites first.
Yeah,
but there are cheaper options. So,
I mean, do you do much changing name sets and that kind of stuff?
No. So the only time I ever do, and I don't do it myself because I've not got the skill set to do it all the time, but the only time I ever do it is if there's like a really badly damaged shirt that's really nice. So say the sponsor or the names come off.
Yeah.
And I might send it across to somebody to fix it up and get it sent back. But I don't add stuff to it because that again, I'd rather have a battered old number on the back than a freshly printed new one. Exactly, it's part of the story. It's part of the, it's been worn loads of times. It's been well loved by lots of people. So I'd prefer to have a shirt that's in its original condition with all its different issues than have something that's been the Puma logo's been reprinted and the name's been redone. It's personally, I know some people are absolutely fine with that. It's just not for me, so therefore I wouldn't sell it to other people if I don't want it myself.
There you go. You've got your own standards, and you just use that as your guideline for other people as well.
And it's I think there's a lot of people that do that and aren't honest about it as well, which is something that really bugs me. So I'd rather, if I do repair a shirt or get it sent to be repaired, I'll say exactly that, so that people know what they're buying, because it does, it affects value at the end of the day, because someone might be buying something for a very different reason from another reason someone else is buying something. Someone might be completely put off by the fact that something's not in its original condition, and others might think, oh, that's wicked, it's got a fresh name set, it's in great condition. So
it's just what you're looking for as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some knackered Wednesday shirts where some of the sponsors fell off, but I like them like that.
Yeah.
Who wants Azerbaijan?
I watched it on 40 degrees on purpose to get it off.
Yeah, I've done that with some shirts and all. I went, but Elevate just fell off anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, anyway, we'll stop bashing again for a minute. How do you tend to find your shirts then? Or is that like a secret? Is that
not a secret, no. I suppose I've built up a lot of contacts over the years from doing what I do. You know, I've been fully self-employed doing this for, God, 3.5 years, something like that. And then before that, I bought and sold vintage stuff, and occasionally got football shirts.
With Sea Dog before,
yeah, me and Charlie did a little cellar dweller garments project. You remember that? Yeah. Yeah. No. So I set up Granny's Retro was the initial thing, which is still people say, "Oh, how's Granny's Retro doing?" Although Granny's Retro ceased to exist about however long ago it was, 12 years or something. And then me and Charlie did a few bits. We had like selling some outdoors gear, like North Face stuff, some designer, some high end stuff. But again, like I said at the beginning, I completely fell out of love with fashion stuff because I just wasn't interested in it, you know. And I think if you're going to be self-employed, you've got to have a passion for it. It's that you can't just be like something you do to make money. Because, well, for some people it might, you know, a little side hustle like that's fine, but for me, if I was ever going to take it seriously and try and do it full time, it had to be something I wanted to do each and every day.
Yeah.
Contacts these days are kind of just built up a network of people that I work with fairly regularly. And, you know, obviously it depends from person to person, but I try and stock as much variety on the site as possible because I want, you know, someone who wants to buy a several £100 match worn shirt to come in and be able to have a look at some stuff, and someone who wants to pick up a couple of bargains, some kids kits for a tenner, or some you know, more recent store shirts, replicas for like 20-30 quid, stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of always been the aim, is to have as much variety as possible. And yeah, so there's like, we've got about 950 kits on the site at the moment. And then
coming in that room, that looks about right. I mean, if I saw that coat you posted the other day worn by
did you see that
as well?
Pizzotti. That's exactly the reason I do it, is because that is the kind of story that I just absolutely love. Is so that, just to give you some background on what Jack's just said there. So I found a coat that was made by an Italian designer called Carlo Pignatelli, and it's got like the Juventus details stitched into the front, and they were like, basically Carlo Pignatelli made like the staff issue wool coats for the manager, and Marcello Lippi was the manager at the time in the late 90s. I think it was 94 to 99. And like, if you look in on the tag, you can see it's got Pizzotti written on the label itself. So I was like looking into it, and then realised that at the time, because I was trying to think, oh God, I can't think of a player called Pizzotti. But again, would they have worn a wool coat? It was almost certainly going to be a staff issue thing.
Yeah.
So Narciso Pizzotti was Marcello Lippi's number 2 from 94 to 99, and I found some really good pictures of Lippi wearing it. Because he was number 2, there's like no photos of him at all. But
annoying.
There's a really cool photo of I think in 1997 they might have beat Man United in the Champions League. And there's Lippi wearing exactly the same coat. And yes, there's one of those on the site at the moment. It's that's the kind of thing that is very difficult to price, because pick a number out of a hat and basically say, I kind of said it's the kind of thing that I would be interested in keeping, but I'd say that about a lot of the stuff I get in, and that's why I might not be the best businessman in the world.
When to let something go.
I'm a certified hoarder, mate. I always have been my entire life. So
hoarding vintage.
Yeah, exactly.
Shirts.
Football shirts, you know, old Adidas track tops, anything. I like having cool stuff around. So yeah, it always pains me a little bit when something really nice sells. So
you know what's mad though? Because like, you're on about that coat. I saw on one of the footy things I follow on Instagram this week that Sven-Goran Eriksson's coat from like, I think it must have been around, you know, like World Cup 2002 time. That went on auction. I can't remember how much for, but I think whoever got it said that it had Steve McLaren's plane ticket, the stub, and it had a little sheet of paper that said his lineup, and you know, just like all his bench and that.
That's crazy.
It's just like, even if you got something like that.
Pocket. Well, I did check the pockets because it's funny because a mate of mine is a Juventus collector. And I showed him it, and he said, "Can you check the pockets and make sure there's no incriminating evidence from some of the dodgy calcio ongoings back in the 90s?" Yeah, got some dodgy figures written down, and confession to some awful
yellow card this bit.
Paid referee £800 to take a dive here. Yeah, so there wasn't any of that in the pockets, but yeah, no, that's the kind of thing that I'm interested in. So I suppose that's the other element to the site, is obviously I like to have a lot of variety, but also just like It's a saturated space, football shirts. A lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon, which is fine. You know, it's a cool thing to be involved in. But I think, you know, having interesting pieces that, firstly, I find fascinating, but also I like to share, to tell a story about, is important as well for me. I like to have cool stuff that you wouldn't necessarily find it on every site.
Well, that's it, yeah.
Because there's a lot of, you know, you could go to, there's hundreds of online retailers selling kits, you know, vintage, modern, etc., etc. So to have some stuff that is a bit niche and a bit different is cool as well.
That's it. It's hard to find that stuff, and that's why it makes it just all the more satisfying when you manage to stumble across something like that.
Exactly, mate.
Right, so let's get on to talking about Sheffield.
Yeah.
Because I could talk about footy all day, and I think we've proved that we probably could go down a tangent on that.
Could be a 5-hour podcast on football, so yeah.
Oh, no, we'll see. But if I were to say Sheffield, what would be the first thing that comes to mind?
I'd probably say outdoors.
I thought you were going to say Wednesday.
No, well, I'd say football, but I don't think everyone would be bloody bored out of school if I went into that again. So, yeah, I think, you know, the thing, obviously Sheffield's got loads of amazing qualities. It's got loads of things wrong with it as well, but it's got loads of amazing things about it. You know, the whole kind of community aspects, people are super in tune with each other. There's lots of cool independent stuff going on, but I think what makes Sheffield like most unique is its natural beauties on the doorstep, you know, and that's the main reason that I always knew I was going to come back here. Is that, you know, very blessed to have the amount of green spaces. You know, you've got the reservoirs up past Hillsborough Way. You know, you've got Danflask, you've got Broomhead, you've got Dale Dyke, Red Myers, exactly. And then just wherever you are, it's such a unique setting that you're always, you know, I don't know, everyone says this, so you probably had someone say this before, but you're always, you know, 5-10 minutes from the countryside, or 5-10 minutes from the hustle and bustle of the city centre, or the not so hustle and bustle of the city centre.
It's been quiet these days.
Yeah, a bit quiet. It's getting better, but it's it's fairly quiet. But yeah, for me, I don't like London, don't like Manchester. No. It's too busy for me. It's too hectic. I want a peaceful life. I want to be able to relax. I want to be able to go outside, and Sheffield is the perfect city for that. So,
boom.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people do say very similar things. Maybe it's just the Sheffield mindset.
Yeah, everyone says this as well, but Will's biggest village, isn't it? Everyone's, you know, everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
Everyone does the same stuff. You know, obviously there's loads of unique, crazy, cool things going on in and around the city, but you know, a lot of people live here because they like community, they like nature, they like sports, you know, all those things that Sheffield's famous for. And it's laid back, it's chilled, so definitely. I think that for me, that the thing that I love most about Sheffield is its proximity to the outdoors. So.
Well then, what don't you like? I feel like I went.
What don't I like about Sheffield?
I could get something here. You were going then.
No.
What's wrong then? What's up?
No. I think the city centre's been a problem for years. I think it's getting better. You know, I think it's always fascinating because like all the things that I like about Sheffield, I think they might go if we had this amazing city centre. You know, but the problem is it's been so retail and chain focused for so long that it's ended up just being derelict, and all that happened when the moor got done up was the problem got shifted down to Fargate.
Yeah,
so it used to be exactly, and then so you just got in towns just you know, you've got Lear's Yards open, you've got, you know, Cambridge Street Collective, you've got some really cool things opening up in town, and there's some really nice, beautiful spaces in town now as well. But it's still it's just so quiet. Yeah. Whenever you go there, it's just so quiet, and that's just the opposite of any other big northern city.
Like Meadowhall took it.
Yeah, it's probably a massive contributing factor. But
you've got all the shops there. A lot of the ones that were in town, probably.
Yeah.
Free parking.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to pay to park in town. That puts people off. Or public transport. Or you have got people begging. Or people like trying to get you to sign up for charity.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I always wear my headphones when I go to town, so no one can talk to me. Says how antisocial I am. That is literally what I do. I see a charity work, and I'm like pretending to be on my phone. It's so bad. Sorry, mate, I'm busy. I'm on phone. But yeah, I think the city centre. Obviously, I hope that this recent money that's been put in there and development around there is going to mean that we can find a happy balance where you've got a thriving, bouncing city centre at the same time as not taking away from all those beautiful little suburbs. And because that is the best thing about Sheffield. All the good stuff's on like Aberdale Road, Ecclesall Road, London Road. You know, like little Kelham Island, like all the cool stuff is outside of the city centre. So it'd be nice to have, you want the city centre to be better than it is, and to have more money pumped into it and focus maybe more on, you know,
I think, you know, the whole thing should be based around going out to eat, drinking, stuff like that, because I think apart from like late bars and clubs, we don't have much of that in the city centre.
No, not really. I mean,
but then
our food spot seems to be on more the suburbs.
Yeah, but that's it. And would having that take away from those areas and affect those? So it's a fine balance, isn't it? Because I'm perfectly happy how it is, because I'm not going into town all the time, and I quite like peace and quiet. But it is sometimes a bit depressing when you go in the city centre. You're just like, oh my god, there's not a soul here. Yeah. There's no one like wandering about. There's no like nothing going on. So yeah, I think that's improved over the last couple of years, but I would maybe like to see more of that without impacting all those areas we just discussed. So.
Yeah, it's a fine balance.
Yeah, it is, mate. It's a tough one. I wouldn't want to be whoever it is that's making the decisions about, you know, what investment goes where, because it's, I've got no idea. I just know that you go into Sheffield City Centre and you feel, God, this is so different from anywhere else.
Built a roundabout.
A Dutch roundabout. Yeah. Best investment we ever had, that pal. Yeah, love that Dutch roundabout. What is it? I don't even know what it does. What does it do? Give priority to cyclists and pedestrians? Is that the only difference?
Just loads of zebra crossing.
So everything's a zebra crossing, and if you're on your feet or on your bike, you get priority. Yeah. Cars have to stop. Well, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not sure it was worth the 2.4 million quid or whatever it was.
I walk past there most days. Not seen a single cyclist use it yet.
Yeah. Well, says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, but now I'm starting to sound like someone on Facebook. So I'll stop that before we go off.
But yeah,
I go off anyway.
I think Kelham would possibly be positively impacted, and probably already has been positively impacted because of its proximity to the city centre. And people almost like Kelham Island is kind of like an offshoot of the city centre now, because it's so close to it. It's just down the hill.
Yeah.
Obviously, my dad's got his shop here. He's got the vinyl and bookshop, books on the books, because I was about to call it Books on the Park. That's what it used to be called when it was on Ecclesall Road. It's not Kelham. You remember Pucks on the Park, don't you?
Yeah.
You've been Pucks on the Park a few times.
Yeah. And even Potters lived there after as well.
Yeah. That was my dad's shop below. But yeah, no, he's been in Kelham for quite a few years now.
There's always one in front at Kelham Deli.
Yes.
Yeah. So just at bus stop if you need to know knit ship and
great shop.
And all that.
Yeah, it's got an eclectic mix of all sorts of records, music. Yeah, loads of interesting books, new and second hand. So yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, go check him out. Go and say hello to David, because he's a very nice man, and he'll chew your ear off as well. So
love that. Right, so. At this point, I reckon I'd usually ask, like, if you could bring back a classic venue, and there's always two angles on this now. It can be somewhere that you went to that you miss, and somewhere that you never got a chance to go to. You know, like somewhere that maybe your parents always used to reminisce about, that you'd be like, oh, I wish I did get a chance to go there, actually.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't even know if I can answer that second one, because my mum and dad didn't even move to Sheffield until they were in their mid to late 20s.
Was there anywhere you've heard of from... like that went before you
asking me now, in terms of places that I miss that aren't there anymore? When we talked about this before, when I used to party and go out, like, used to love going to all the little cool like independent nightclub spaces, like DLS when it was a thing, and then it obviously became Night Kitchen. I used to love going out there back in the day, but I'm too old for it now, so don't do anything like that. But God, it's a good question, that other one. You might have to come back to me. Give me. What would you say if you got asked that question? Someone that you never got a chance to go to.
See,
I'd say Oily Road.
Like Roxy's. You need to see what Roxy's were like back in the day.
Yeah.
And what Limit? I hear a lot about Limit.
Yeah.
That were on West Street, and just go check it out.
Yeah.
Also, well, Penelope's I hear people talk about as well.
I'm sure there was plenty of places that
this
were.
Is it. But then will be the people like, oh yeah, do you remember DQ?
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's another one. We obviously got a chance to go there far too many times. But I was gobsmacked that DQ disappeared, to be honest, because it was just like such a staple of Sheffield nightlife.
Well,
was it now church?
Like it just got it dropped off towards end, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I can't even remember when it happened, but I just remember being there a lot.
I think
and not remembering much.
Next door, that probably had something to do with it.
Yeah. Where else was there on? Obviously, where did you used to DJ all the time? Can't believe I've forgotten the name. It's only closed recently. Gatsby.
Yeah,
that's another one that miss it a little bit, but it's only been gone about 8 years. But those are the kind of places that I used to go to on my infrequent visits to the city centre to go out for a bit of nightlife. So yeah,
them was work days.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just one of them. Feel like I don't go out as much anymore. So sounds like you're in a similar position.
Yeah, no.
Like, usually at this point I would ask like, oh yeah, where would you go on a night out these days?
Where would I go on a night out?
Would you just go?
I'd probably, I don't even like pubs. I'm not even, it's got to sound right boring, don't I? I'm not even a bit, I mean, I can still have a good do every once in a while, but I'm not like, I don't like to have 1 or 2 beers. I'm not like, exactly. Very, very, very occasionally it's go hard or go home, but the rest of the time it's firmly sat home. Or, not necessarily that, but like, ideal. I like to play some games, chat to my mates, do a pub quiz. We go to Broadfield quiz sometimes. Go and play. I've been going recently, which I bloody love, by the way. Jabberwocky on Aberdale Road. It's got a pool table, like a game of pool. Good vibes in there, nice lighting.
Can't go wrong with it.
It's just nice. Good beer on tap.
You been to Yardball yet?
Yeah, love it. So I've got some of my shit. I should have mentioned
that
before.
I know. Yeah. I knew that. I've not brought that up.
So I've met Alan and Scott when they were first opening it, and they came down to the studio for a chat, and we were just like, yeah, we could definitely do something that's kind of mutually beneficial. So. Yeah, so if you see any of the kind of vintage flags and stuff like that on display in Yardball, they're all Granny's Football Store items. And there's loads of old Italian stuff, and then also they've got like a fence behind the reception, which has got like 25 of my kits that are kind of on display there, and just like my business cards and a sign and stuff like that, which has been good. Yeah, it's nice. I think we talked about just one of those things again that you never get around to doing, but hopefully we'll do this year. Talked about doing some pop-ups from there, because I still get a lot of young kids in, and I haven't at the moment, but I normally have quite a lot of kids' shirts, and the cheapest chips. So just like getting down there and give people the options to come and have a browse there, and have a day out, buy a kit to take home with and stuff like that. So yeah, and I went for the first time a couple of months ago. I love it. It's so good. It's exactly that's the kind of thing that Sheffield needed.
Is there anything like that anywhere
No.
else?
It's the first of its kind, isn't it? Which is what's so unique about it.
It's so good. I've been like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I really want to go back.
Great, good dinner.
No, I was quite. I didn't do particularly well when I first did it, because obviously you make such a difference if you get one of the difficult ones and you get whatever it is 5,000 points for getting it.
Yeah.
Like everyone else got. I think I got the most of the easier ones,
the little one,
but I didn't get any 5,000 points. So I think I ended up coming last.
Stopped scoring it. We were just like, right.
It's just more fun just to kick it in.
Top bins and then see if it does.
Yeah, no, but it's really cool, and obviously I love what they've done with it. It was really funny actually, because when I brought down some kits to put on display in there, I was speaking to Al, and I was just having a look around at all the walls, because they've like created a collage of like 90s football iconic pictures all around the opening space. And I was just looking around and I was like, oh, it's funny that I've got that kit with me, I've got that kit with me, I've got that kit with me. So it was like, about out of the 25 kits that I brought down with me, 10 of them were on the walls.
It's just mad how, such a match made in heaven.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, no, I definitely, you've reminded me to get in touch with them and trying to arrange a pop-up. So hopefully, because that is the other thing this year, other than doing some studio pop-ups, we just like to get out and about a bit more.
You could do like Granny's Day Out, where you get like, I don't know, 10 lads to go and go to Yardball for a day.
Yeah.
Be a fun little
exactly.
A video out
yeah. God, content creation, one thing I'm absolutely terrible at. So which is the way you get business in this modern world, isn't it? So yeah, but maybe I need to branch out a little bit and do some more stuff like that. Maybe do a photo shoot in there or something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, just because that would be the perfect setting.
Makes sense. I know. Someone's used it for like a short film.
Yeah, I saw that. It was really cool. Yeah. So it's just epic, isn't it? I know the way they've made it look like an old block of council flats with the garages is just amazing. And also because it's the old, again, Sheffield history. It's the old Labour factory.
Well, that's it. When I took my daddy,
they call the bar's called Labour's Bar, isn't it?
Yeah. But that was obviously sponsor.
Blade sponsor. Yeah. So there's obviously the big, and they're both big Wednesday fans, the two owners, but. Obviously the United element there as well, and I know they want it to be a fun space for everyone, no matter what side of the city you are or whoever you are, which is what I really like about it. Is it's made anyone can go there and have a laugh, whether you don't play football very much, whether you're a young kid, whatever it is, you could go there and have a laugh. And I think they've done it really well, and like we said before, there's just nothing like it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure at some point, hopefully they'll do really well there over the coming years, and I'm sure they'll do it somewhere else, because
they've got to.
Yeah, because it's going to be like the new crazy golf, isn't it? Yeah. Well, Golf Fang's in a few cities now, isn't it? So
like Lane 7, I swear there's like a few of there as well.
And I said, and when you said before about where would you go on your your night out. That's the kind of thing I like
100%.
to do. Go out and have a laugh, have a kick about with a ball. I play a bit of crazy golf, play a bit of pool, and then just go and have a few beers and chat shit with my mates.
Places like Common Room, slept on.
Yeah,
I love.
So whenever I meet my old mates from my old job, will go to the Common Room. Yeah. So that's my idea of it. A good night out is darts, pool, football, golf, and a few beers.
We told some stories, but we've got there, and so just flip that. Not drinking or all, but like say someone were to come through to Sheffield in daytime.
Yeah.
Where would you take them?
We've just said it.
Peaks, I bet.
That is probably I might take him to if we're talking like a day out of the football, whether you're at Wednesday United, Sheffield FC, Hallam, there's so many options to go to watch some good football at a weekend. But again, any of the activities or little cool things that we've got going on. Plenty of nice restaurants as well. Probably go out for a nice meal as well.
We'll get to the
food bit. We'll save that for later on. Yeah. But yeah, probably yard ball, golf hang. That's the kind of thing. And that's me being purely selfish. But that's the kind of things that I find fun. And also, I think you can't go wrong with stuff like that, can you? Especially if someone's not visited the city. But then again, the other thing that I do, I go out to Peaks.
Yeah, exactly.
I go out to Peaks as well. Go and see some beauty. Go on a nice walk. Go and dunk myself in some cold water at the end of it.
Maybe not this time.
Yeah. Well, I did it. My mate Joe. He did a month. Was it a month? 6 weeks. Every single morning he got up and went to Rivelin Plunge Pool during November and December. And got in the freezing cold water, and we did it. I did it like 3 or 4 times. Oh my god, it is so cold. Sea-Dog came with us one time. Charlie and Mies came with us.
Yeah.
It was fresh. It was like you feel amazing afterwards.
You're awake.
Yeah. It's better than a coffee in the morning. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mate did it religiously and just said the benefits were crazy.
Yeah,
people say it, don't they? I mean, it's the big thing now. Is cold water exposure, but. I love outdoor swimming. We go to Agden a lot in the summer.
6 spots.
Because it's just a perfect chill spot. So yeah, that would be my bringing someone to Sheffield. It would be go to out for a nice wild swim and for a walk in the countryside in the morning.
Nice.
Take him to the hallowed surf of Hillsborough in the afternoon, and then go and have a game at yard ball or at golf hang in the evening. Did I tell you what? I need to do that for myself. Never mind anyone else.
Right, get it sorted. Right, wait. Have you got any other independents from the city you want to shout out?
I'll shout out my neighbours at Steamworks. So obviously in my studio, in my studio space, there's some really cool businesses. So would implore anyone to go and have a look at what people do there. There's a tattoo artist. Louis, there's Frankie who does nails, and there's Ben and Lauren who do Retribe, which is a really, really cool business, and they're such lovely people. And they use disused or wasted went tent material from festivals, so they'll go down to all these festivals all over the UK, so like Downlows, Creamfields, where people will literally 90% of tents are left, which is pretty vile when you think about it.
I've worked at festivals abroad and seeing it on a Monday when everyone's fucked off, and you're just this is disgusting.
Yeah. No, it's not nice at all. But anyway, they make the most of a very bad situation, and then they repurpose those materials and turn them into all sorts of cool stuff. So they do sit mats, they do bags, they do loads of really cool, unique stuff that are all individual, because obviously they're using they're not produced. Yeah, exactly. All made in the warehouse at Steamworks as well. So yeah, they're well worth checking out. And then in terms of kind of shopping, I'm good pals with Jack and Susie, who own Good Vintage, who have just recently moved from their Bramall Lane. Well, not recently, they've been there a while now, but they're permanently there now. Where Freshman's was, which is the first vintage shop I ever went to and bought something from when I was about 12-year-old. Full circle, exactly.
It's a wicked space there.
It's a really cool space.
Looked at some nice stuff.
Yeah, no, they sell
coffee shop.
Well, that's it. They've obviously, when they first moved in, it was just the same as the old Freshman's building. But they've put loads of time and effort into it, and they've there's a very curated vintage shop, so lots of high-end designer pieces, lots of
very cool designer fashion, and then also more affordable stuff as well. So they've got a really nice mix in there. So yeah, again, they've since they've redone that space and got the coffee shop and the shop, it's a really beautiful space. So would definitely recommend anyone going to check that out as well.
Like nicest thing on Carver Street now, I'd say.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, pal.
No, good independent shouts there then. We'll do food now.
Yeah.
Right, we're getting to that time. So I usually start off like, what's your top 3 takeaways?
Takeaways. So I'm an absolute sucker for the kind of Mediterranean / Middle Eastern diet. So anything that's like grilled meats, bread, salad, veg, tsatsikis, dips, anything like that is my absolute go-to. So yeah, I love like a Greek Village on Aberdale Road.
Nice, yeah.
Just insanely big portions. You feel like you've eaten for 3 people when you come out of there, but I always finish it because I'm a greedy bugger. So I would say probably Middle Eastern shawarma. I can't not say that because I always order from there. Like if I'm getting a takeaway, that will be kind of the first, or I'll just walk down the road because it's literally 2 minutes from my house.
Yeah. Depends how lazy you're feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And then probably let's say Napoli Centro. Pizza, because I love Italian food as well.
Yeah, and it comes with Maradona on box.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just beautiful pizzas, and they do really nice sides as well. So you can get like sometimes like proper pizza places only do pizza.
Yeah.
But that's a proper pizza place that does some really like cool. You can get them like Parmesan fries and stuff as well.
See, I don't think I've ever tried sides. So next time.
Yeah, mate. Next time, get those Parmesan fries down you. They're really good.
Sick. And then if you were going to go and have a sit-down meal, is there any places that you'd recommend?
Yeah, Northtown Deli is probably number 1. Just what a spot. It's just quaint, cute little...
That's Aberdale Road as well.
Aberdale Road as well, further down. But again, that's a love of Italian food, and they've got amazing like old Italian news clippings and sports articles, and they've got cycling jerseys all around. It's just a super cool place.
I love it when there's stuff to look at.
Yeah, stuff to look at. You can have a little read through everything, and they're just like, the service is unbelievable. They'll come and chat to you about your recommendations and like what your palate's like, and then the food is, I've never had a bad meal there. It's just always 10 out of 10.
Sweet.
So yeah, I reckon Northtown would be my number 1 spot to go and have some food.
Nice. Yeah, I've not tried that, so that'll definitely be on my list of going out spots to hit up.
Well, I probably missed this out earlier on, but favourite drinking hole actually that could lead on to that would be to get. I really like some of the new pubs and bars on Aberdale Road, but particularly over the Ardam. I think they've done an amazing job there. It's
a good spot. That it's like it's got the from Gravel Pit.
Yeah, and it's got the balcony, the terrace, out the front, and you're on a sunny day and they're supping on an Aperol Spritz, and then head down for some food afterwards, where you've got obviously loads of options. You've got, like we just said, Northtown, you've got that Mavi Roya as well. Yeah, you can. Well, if you're on Aberdale or London Road, you can find somewhere to eat or drink in seconds, can't you?
Yeah, spoiled for choice. Yeah, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, good. Sarnie shop. Top shot, Sarnie shop.
Sarnie shop.
Yeah, you got anywhere that you go to on a regular?
It's got to be Beres on it. Let's be honest. I mean, the match day treat. Got to be a Beres, or I sometimes get a Lily's as well. Mix it up in it. These are very Hillsborough orientated sandwich shops, but that's when I get a Sarnie. On match day.
Just Hillsborough. Beres is branched out there.
Yeah, but Beres is everywhere, isn't it? Yeah. And then there's a really nice. I can't remember its name. Maybe Lunch Stop. So that's again on Aberdale Road, and it's in between my house and work. So sometimes I'll get a sarnie there. It's on the corner next to the pharmacy.
Yeah,
they have a nice sarnie there as well. So they would be my top 3.
That's like off the beaten track recommendation. Yeah. And then last but not least, Top Chippy.
Top Chippy. Ooh, good question. Because I don't want to say the one that everyone says, Two Steps, but it is really nice. I did go to Two Steps on a Friday night a couple of months ago, and the queue was like literally 45 minutes long. There was people like 5 shops down the road waiting for it. I was like, I'm not bothering. It's a good fish and chips, but it's too long. It's too popular. Too popular. Yeah, it probably would be Two Steps, but then there's one in Crooks as well that I can't remember the name of. On the main road in Crooks on the right hand side.
Corner. Or...
Yeah, I think so. There's might be a couple in Crooks, but
so there's that 5-star fish bar, and then there's Admiral.
Yeah, Admiral. I think it's that one. Really nice fish and chips from there. So that would be my alternative to 2 sets if you don't want to wait 45 minutes on a Friday night. So.
Yeah, you could go up to Bowlhills as well.
Yeah,
watch sunset.
Exactly, pal.
If you're there. What am I on about? That sounds lovely, actually.
Yeah.
No, right, food done and dusted there. Some good recommendations there. And yeah, if you've not tried them, then get them in and get them in comments if you've got all better, I guess. Yeah. So I feel like we've established this, but usually I'll be like Wednesday or United.
Yeah. I don't think we need to go through that. I mean, it's funny because my family, obviously my mum and dad aren't from here. My mum's from Teesside, my dad's from Blackpool. So my dad's a Blackpool fan.
Yeah.
And I've actually been, the few times that I've been to Bramall Lane, I've normally been watching Blackpool in the away end with my dad.
Oh, fair.
Including some, I've watched that, I don't know if you remember it, there was the ridiculous 3-3 game where Blackpool went down to 9 men and hung on to draw 3-3 at Bramall Lane recently. That was when they were last in the Championship a couple of years ago. And then the year before that we went and Blackpool beat Blades 1-0 at Bramall Lane. Nice. It's one of the best away ends I've ever been in. It was just absolutely nuts. So yeah, but my dad took me to Hillsborough when I was a kid, and because he wanted me to watch football like he did when he was growing up. So he watched Blackpool quite a bit, but my uncle used to play football for Norwich, so he used to go down and see. So like my family clubs are Norwich and Blackpool, which is quite weird considering how far apart they are. But obviously, Terry Alcock, my uncle, he moved from, he was from Leeds, moved to Blackpool, which is where he met my dad's sister, and then got a contract. He played for Bolton for a bit with Nat Lofthouse up front.
That's it.
Yeah, crazy that. So that's why he did, because he ended up leaving because obviously they had an England international up front and he was a young kid coming through, so he didn't get that much game time. And then he moved to Norwich and became a bit of a club legend. He passed away last year, but he's got. There was a lot of people. When we went to the funeral, there was lots of people lining the streets and stuff. So yeah, family clubs are Blackpool and Norwich, but yeah, Wednesday have always been. It's weird though, isn't it? Because like, I'm sure you're the same, but half my best mates are Blades, half my best mates are Wednesday. So it's such a split city. There's a very, obviously we don't want to get into this debate about which club's bigger, but Wednesday fans are far and wide all over the country, I feel like, but obviously United get bigger home attendances at the moment, probably due to ticket prices and recent success. But across the city in Sheffield, it's just such an even split between Wednesday and United.
I think it depends what generation you ask as well, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think United exactly. United do a really good job of bringing. They're accessible. They're a city centre. They're cheaper for students,
just brand around.
They're a much better run. Although I'm not sure the Prince did a particularly good job before they've just sold, but they were much better run than us, and they still are to this day. I
mean, look at some signings they've made.
Yeah, exactly. And now they've got a huge American corporation. So yeah, it probably could have been either way, but I'm fortunate and unfortunate enough that my dad chose to take me to Hillsborough in the late 90s period. So I got caught at the back end of some glory when we were still, not a great side, but a Premier League side with some quality players. Nicholas Alexanderson, probably my favourite Wednesday player of all time. I cried. Des, what a player! But I cried my eyes out when Nicholas Alexanderson went to Everton after we got relegated. I was more bothered about him leaving than I was about Wednesday getting relegated. I was like, we'll be back up next year. 25 years later.
Keep telling us sends that, don't we?
Yeah, but no, I maybe need to have some more words with my dad about taking me to Hillsborough, because it's been a bit of misery over. Fair bit of misery over the last 25 years, hasn't there?
But have you got any memorable games that do stand out as that's the reason I'm a Wednesday thing?
Yeah, so the ones, I used to go to quite a few away games, don't do it anymore, but when I was a lot younger, probably my favourite every away day was when we beat Leicester away 3-1. Steve Watson, so this was to keep us up and send Leicester down. And Steve Watson, Bartosz Slavarski, if you remember him, Polish lad we had on loan from West Brom.
I remember Steve Watson.
And who else scored? Leon Clark. Big Leon Clark scored. Well, he started to play quite well for us in the last bit of his Wednesday career, but he scored from the halfway line. And I remember he was quite a big lad, and I'm sure Dion Burton was trying to get him to take his top off to celebrate, and he wouldn't do it. He was a lot slimmer later on in his career, but when he was at us, he was very top heavy, wasn't he?
I think he loved to take away.
But so that was my favourite every away day, probably. And then over recent years, the Arsenal and Newcastle games.
Yeah.
No, obviously the playoff final as well. Newcastle. Even though we lost, I didn't enjoy the balance of the game. I'll be completely honest. Obviously, I loved the fact that we went up, but it was so tense, and because we were expected to win after the comeback against Peterborough.
Horrible.
It was
game
just
to watch.
Awful game to watch. I mean, we were the better team until we went down to 10 men, and then until they went down to 10 men, and then they battered us.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
I can't remember if it were in extra time or...
Well, that miss, that is Grove, when he was through and he shanked it wide. Yeah. No, I couldn't believe it. And obviously Volk scoring the worldie that then got disallowed.
I was still making me drinking concourse at that point. And everyone screaming right up, and it was like, oh, it's offside. But
yeah, there's something... I'm Brighton at home, obviously, in the playoff semi that year. There's a whole year.
Yeah.
So there's those three stand out. Newcastle, Arsenal, and the Brighton home and semi, because when Hillsborough's like that, there is no place like it in the country.
You could have
Old school ground.
Stood up on
Yeah. Oh god, it's like quite emotional. I thought, what am I fucking on about? Peterborough, it's the best game of football I've ever. I'm sorry. Yeah, God, I cried. I cried it down. Couldn't believe. Well, I was like, me and Liam were looking at each other. Like, I couldn't watch the penalty shootout. I was stood with my back to the thing, and I was like,
I filmed them all in slow mo.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it. I mean, that is the best game of football I've ever watched.
Like, what a performance.
Yeah. I mean, it's just coming
around.
I mean, Pep bloody Guardiola was commenting on it. Like the whole world was watching because it was like, no. Surely it was like a League One version of Liverpool against Barca, wasn't it?
Essentially,
that's what it was. And it's like when something like that happens in football, everyone's tuned into it.
Classic, that
and it was there, and I was just like, and obviously, there was still this is how insane Wednesday fans are. There's still 35,000 of us there on a day when we're 4-0 down against a team that are pretty solid, and they beat us twice in league or beat us once and drawn once.
Yeah, so
like
there was the week before I was ready to take it up.
Yeah. We've got to go, haven't you? You got to go. Well, I remember it was I played football up at King's Heads on a Tuesday night, and someone said, "Oh, are you playing to me and Liam?" I said, "No, we're going to match." And someone commented saying, "Oh, you must be stupid." And I was like, that's what Wednesday fans are like. Yes, we are stupid, but we're ridiculously loyal and we'll rock up to support the team, whatever. So that was something else. So there's four home games, and that one away game just sticks with me because I was just with my dad, and that's when I was a young kid, like super interested in football, and I was just like, I thought we were going down, and Steve Watson was my favourite, probably my favourite Wednesday player of like the last 20 years. Like maybe a few others have come into that category as well, but I mean he was like, I know he was 39 or something when he was with us, but he was
for that chip against Blades.
Yeah. He was streets ahead of anyone else on pitch. You just thought, God, if we'd had you,
experience. It's like another player we had around that time that reminded me of that experience. Graham Kavanagh.
Yeah. Really good
player. When we had him, but
proper technician, spraying a good ball
around, knew what he was doing.
And we had Chris Marsden before that as well. We got an old bloke from Southampton. I think he was only there for 6 months, but I remember watching him. I used to love it when we get a player at the end of their career, like a Premier League player when. Doesn't happen anymore. You don't get Premier League players at the end of their career dropping down to the Championship very often. Yeah, exactly. Whereas before they dropped down to the Championship or League One, and it was like, this is class.
When he were at I seen a picture yesterday, and it's Rooney at Derby with Jude at Birmingham, and it's like that's going to be one of them timeless photos.
Yeah, and you just don't get it anymore. But that was like, because that's all Wednesday could afford were loans and has-beens. And we had some great loans and has-beens. Don't get Well, you get risks, don't you? You get players from abroad, or a player at the end of the contract that's maybe been rubbish last season, but was quite good a few years ago.
We've not had anyone like that recently.
No. Bring on the next Steve Watson. That's what I say. Who is there that's coming towards retirement age in the Prem?
Milner.
We'll have James Milner. Take James Milner next season.
Funny. That's good. I like that. And just some classic players there as well, just mentioned. And I used to love Dion Burton
and Marcus Tudgay, What a partnership. Favourite ever partnership, that. That was an old school centre forward partnership.
My dad always says, what is it, Bannister and Varady, back in the day, before our time.
Yeah, before our time, people always rave about them too, don't they? Yeah. But he had a match-worn Varady shirt in the shop, Richard, who I was telling you about earlier.
Oh, nice.
But that's like Bukhtar Rumbro era, isn't it? So like 80s, maybe early 80s even. But before my time, I've watched clips, but that's about all I know about him, really.
Yeah, when you look and it's like, what is state of that pitch?
Yeah.
Just the other area.
Hillsborough looks a bit like that at the moment, mate. After we've been training on it for the last 3 weeks, so
wonder why that is.
We won't make any more slight comments, so I'll leave them to the imagination of the listeners.
Yeah, we'll leave that there, I guess. We'll end up being bashing him for ages. Have you got any other sporting interests?
Yeah. I play a lot of badminton. That's probably my most played sport.
Nice.
So I've been playing since I was a kid. So I play 2 or 3 times a week. Although last couple of years I've had loads of bloody injuries. So I've had like a year and a half where I didn't play football or badminton, which was absolutely horrible. But yeah, I play a lot of badminton. And recently I've been running, which I never thought. I mean, a few years ago during COVID, when you could do naff all else, I did start doing a bit of running. I hated it. I've always liked sports, but not when they involve just putting one leg in front of the other. But my mate Ash Dobbins has just set up a run group on a Sunday where we go round down Flask on a Sunday morning.
Nice.
Which is nice. So do that pretty much every Sunday, and that's just 5k or just over 5k, which is nice and very chill, very mixed ability as well. So it's a nice one. So yeah, I would if anyone's interested in joining a run club, it's a really nice one. There's most people that's been there so far. It's obviously in its very early stages, about 25-30. But yeah, he's looking for more people to get involved if anyone fancies taking it up. And yeah, so I did my first 10k for about 3 years the other day on my own. I just decided to do it, which was nice. But yeah, I don't enjoy running, but I feel it's just one of those things that you feel loads better after you've done it.
Yeah, it's just getting it out of the way.
Well, exactly. Whereas sport, in general, play a bit of tennis, play anything really, a bit of cricket. I'll play any sports if I just like anything with a bat and a ball, basically. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, football and badminton.
Nature as well.
Oh god, disgracefully competitive.
So
bad.
Yeah,
so bad. Just. I mean, I'm a really. I'd say gracious when I'm doing good at stuff.
Yeah.
Awful if I'm bad.
Oh.
So one of those as in just sulking,
just swearing.
Yeah, that's me on a badminton court or a football pitch. So.
Yeah, well, still, that just shows that you want to be the best version of yourself. So.
Yeah, I'm playing with I think someone you've had on the pod before, Zena, tonight.
Oh yeah. Shout out Zena.
Shout out Zena. Playing at UMix with Zena at 7 tonight. So
we'll have a badminton tournament soon.
Yeah. No, it's good. The football groups I play with are all very chilled. So I used to play for a team, Sunday League, back in the day, but I've stopped playing for 5-6 years, and then realised that I think a lot of people do this when their mates move to different cities and stuff when they're younger. You don't play as much sport as you used to, and then over the last few years I was just like, what am I doing? I love football, I need to start playing again.
Into it, yeah.
And then you just find a few groups to play with. But yeah, it's good groups. Play at Goodwin, play at King's Heads, and play at UMix sometimes. So yeah, there's that's the other thing about Sheffield. There's loads of sporting facilities, bloody everywhere in there.
Yeah, I used to play at Goals quite a lot.
Yeah,
and you got pits up at Woodburn Road. Are they still there?
Yeah, I think so. As far as I'm aware, I've not played there for years.
When I used to play football, Yonks back, so. Yeah, that's a good point actually. There is loads of good facilities.
There is. Yeah, Wisewood was where I played badminton. That's a really nice one. It used to be the school up past Hillsborough up in Wisewood.
To make Forge Valley with Myers.
Yes, exactly. When they merged them, but now the old school and the old gym and stuff are incorporated into a gym and a sports centre, and they've got AstroTurf pitches there as well. So it's a good little sports centre, and it's fairly cheap compared to some of the other ones.
It was legit.
I don't know. It's when you go up through, so you go through Hillsborough as if you were going towards the countryside up that hill, and then you just turn right onto Wisewood. It's up the top of that hill.
Maybe, anyway.
I don't know Wisewood very well apart from going there to play badminton for the last 15 years. That's it. That's my only spot in Wisewood. So.
Well, there you go. It's the only spot you need to know.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'd usually ask what you got coming up. You got anything lined up this year?
Yeah. Personally or business-wise?
Business.
Yeah, I'll do it. Business-wise is probably more of interest to people. So yeah, so definitely Retro Football Fair dates have been announced, and I should be. There's 2 Sheffield legs.
Is that at Trafalgar Warehouse?
Yes, there's going to be one at Trafalgar Warehouse and one in another location that might be very close to where I'm based.
Where?
It might be. Don't know if it's been announced yet. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that. But hey,
well, it's fine. We don't say no.
Yeah.
If you're gonna read it between lines.
Yeah. But yeah, fingers crossed. The plan over the next couple of weeks is to get the final little bits and bobs sorted, to get some proper open days sorted. So. Yeah, and I'm planning hopefully at least a monthly open day where I'll be in the studio all day, just knocking about. Like I said, people can just come down and chill on the beanbags, read some old football books, have a browse through the shirts, play some darts, whatever it is that you want to do. So I'm planning, I'll probably put something out over the next few weeks about the first one of those. Now I've got my Ring doorbell, and finally got a sign getting made about 6 months after moving in. Shows how busy I've been.
Well, people will be able to find you better now.
Well, that's it, yeah. And if there's any Blades listening, if you're walking past on match day, you know, hopefully I'll be there on match day, and people can come in and have a chat on match day. Just don't give me too much grief for being an owl.
Just go and check out the collection, because there's so much to look at. Like, I didn't even really have a browse, because obviously I were on my missions that day.
Yeah.
I used to come down just to have a
We were too busy nattering anyway, weren't we?
Well, that's easily done though.
Yeah.
I feel like we've done that now.
Yeah. But yeah, and I've got plenty of Blades kits in there. I don't have much Wednesday stock because I keep it all, but so I've got plenty of Blades bits. Like, I know, it's just loads of...
Very cheap as well.
Yeah, that's it. Bargain bag, all Blades gear. Yeah. I've got a few Blades kits, nothing particularly old and special, but quite a few of the more modern kits. I think about that Paul Pescasolido kit that was when he had that header against David Seaman, the one from the early 2000s in the FA Cup semi-final.
Diesel?
Yeah.
I was thinking what sponsors they had. Like,
I think I've got a pair of Wes Fotheringham match-worn shorts as well somewhere. If anyone
wants Wes's shorts, come and see you.
So that's the plan this year, is to do more stuff in person. I'll be hopefully going to any of the retro football fairs, which are great events. If anyone wants to come down to them, there's going to be one at Trafalgar, and as I say, one at a venue that I don't think's been announced yet, but it's not far. So yeah, make sure there'll be tickets on sale coming up for them quite soon, because I think the first Sheffield one's in April. And then studio open days. If you're following us on socials, then I'll be updating about when I'm planning to do those, starting from the next couple of weeks.
Which leads me on to the next question. Where can the people find you on the socials?
So if you're on Instagram, which is probably the one that I use most, that is Granny's Football Store. If you're on Twitter, or X as it's called now, which is a bit of a cesspit at the moment, but I'm still on there.
What's that other one? What's the lefty version?
Oh yeah, Blue Sky. I'm on there, but I don't use it. It's one of those things I've got in twos.
The nice version.
Yeah. The bit where Elon Musk isn't telling you bloody Birmingham's turned into Islamabad or something like that. Oh God, fuck that guy. But anyway. So you can find us on X. It's Granny's Football. I pathetically attempt to do TikTok videos sometimes, so don't bother looking at them. If you want to come and see the studio in person and come and have a chat and buy, sell, trade, whatever it is that you want to do, football related, memorabilia related, I'm always open to ideas and for new people to come in. So you can there's a contact form on the website, which is granniesfootballstore.com, or you can just drop me a DM on any of the various social media platforms.
Boom. There you go. Thank you for coming down.
All good, mate. Appreciate it. It's good, yeah. Nice to chat.
To see some classic shirts as well.
That's it, mate. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, so I need to come down again and have a proper look through the shirt collection, but I'll do that next time Wednesday's away. That means they'll be...
that means playing. But the way Championship fixtures are now, it won't matter, because Blades will be playing on a bloody Sunday at 4 o'clock or Friday.
Everything's on telly now.
Exactly.
We'll be sound then. Well, honestly, cheers for coming down.
No problem, mate. Happy to come on. It's been really good.
Yeah, been a good chat. And then for anyone that's still here, don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that. And we'll catch you on the flip side. So see you in a bit.
Peace.